Hello everyone. Today I am bringing you another story from the mill. A sci-fi drama film called Chronicle. Warning, spoilers ahead. Enjoy. Andrew records himself in his room while his father angrily tells him to let him in. Andrew tells him no because he is drunk and that he is filming everything from here on out. His father grows quiet then leaves. Andrew records his sick mother, Karen, on her bed and she tells him that it is a nice camera. The next day Andrew's cousin, Matt, picks him up and they head to school. Andrew starts filming on campus and a girl with a poster tells him to vote for Steve for class president. He eats lunch alone at the bleachers while videotaping the field and one of the cheerleaders tells him not to because it is creepy. While in the hallway, two bullies take his camera and start messing with him. The bell rings and they kick Andrew's camera back to him. Driving back home, Matt tells Andrew there is a party going on later that night and that he should come. Andrew is hesitant, but Matt persuades him and tells him not to bring his camera because it will be a little weird. As Andrew sits in his room looking at a new light for his camera, his father, Richard, barges inside. Andrew tells him what he wants and Richard smacks him then throws him on the ground. He tells Andrew that when he says to open the door to open it then leaves. Later that night, Matt and Andrew get to the party. They go inside and Matt tells him that he should stop following him with the camera for a while and go talk to some new people. Andrew continues to film the party and he meets another girl, Casey, who is filming as well. She tells him that she's filming for her blog when Matt suddenly joins in and greets her. Matt recites to her a philosophical take on what parties are and she leaves. Andrew continues on filming the party and a guy walks up to him claiming he was filming his girlfriend. He denies it and the guy throws a drink at his camera. Shaken up from the confrontation, Andrew goes outside and cleans his camera. As he sits there, Steve approaches him. He tells Andrew that Matt and him found something interesting and they want to film it. They both go into the woods to see the discovery. They come across Matt standing in front of a deep hole in the ground. They gather around and hear a piercing noise come from below. Excited, Steve suddenly descends into the hole. Matt joins him and Andrew hesitantly does as well. They come across a dark tunnel that leads to an unknown object emanating a blue energy. Andrew wants to leave, but the other two are curious. The object's noise gets louder, almost screeching, which starts to mess with the camera. Steve approaches a prism limb from the source, with its veins crawling up to him and the energy suddenly turns red. Steve begins to bleed heavily from his nose. The object goes haywire and launches Matt and Andrew away. The next day, the three of them hang out. Steve throws a baseball straight at Matt's face, hitting him full force. Matt throws a baseball at Steve's feet and it suddenly jumps up at him. Steve braces himself for another round and Matt throws the ball completely to the side and it comes straight back, knocking Steve in the face again. Matt throws the ball at Andrew and it freezes in midair. Andrew suddenly starts bleeding from his nose and drops the ball from the air. The three continue to practice their newfound telekinetic powers and Andrew seems to be better at controlling it. The next day, they head down to the hole again only to find that it has been covered up. As they examine further, a sheriff shows up and tells them that they are closing the surrounding area off, signaling for them to leave. As Steve drives Andrew back home, they express to each other their parents' grievances. The next day, the group arrive at school. They talk about starting to put more effort into learning about their powers. They head to a store and start messing with the customers. At a restaurant, Andrew stabs Matt with a fork and it folds. While in a parking lot, Steve manages to move a car into a new parking space and starts to bleed from his nose. On the road, a truck with a crazy driver starts to tailgate them. Andrew suddenly pushes the car off the road and it falls into a lake. They all rush to the scene. Andrew tries to pull the car out of the water and Matt stops him to avoid further damage. Steve quickly jumps into the lake to help the driver. They pull the blooded man out and wait for the police. After the incident, Matt scolds his cousin about what happened. He tells them that will no longer use the power on living things or out in public. The next day, Matt and Andrew arrive at a remote site where they see Steve flying above them. They practice how to fly and proceed to take the skies. They spend time traveling at high speeds and play football above the clouds. A plane suddenly passes through and knocks Steve out. As he falls from the sky, Andrew quickly secures him and the camera. They touch safely on the ground and Steve embraces Andrew for saving his life. As they roam the streets together, Matt leaves the bunch for his mom's birthday, but is actually visiting Casey. Andrew and Steve hang out together on top of the building, once again expressing to each other their troubles. Andrew tells him that he has always been a shy person and that he has no talents, but Steve disagrees, implying at his telekinetic powers. The next day, Andrew talks to his mother in a new suit that Steve let him borrow. She tells him how glad she is of him spending time with his friends. Downstairs, as Andrew is heading out, his father stops him and interrogates him. He tells Andrew that he's noticed Matt not picking him up anymore and that he's onto his sneaking around. Later, Matt films the school talent show. On the stage, Steve starts the act by introducing Andrew. Starting with no applause, the crowd slowly transitions into screams and laughter as they put on a comedic act with their powers. That night, Andrew and Matt arrive at a party where they are received by Steve. Everyone notices Andrew and greet him as he moves through the crowd. Mildly intoxicated, Andrew plays beer pong and proceeds to eliminate every opponent. Steve talks to the camera as he heads upstairs to where Andrew is with a girl in a room. Suddenly, the girl angrily rushes out of the room with throw up on her hair. Steve goes into the room where Andrew is pulling his pants up. He tells him that it is okay, holding in laughter, and Andrew tells him to get out. At home, Richard looks through Andrew's room and finds the camera. He sits Andrew down and tells him he went through the footage and proceeds to insult him. He tells Andrew that he is an embarrassment and that he is wasting his money. Andrew explodes and calls his father an idiot. Enraged, Richard strikes Andrew. Using his powers, Andrew slams Richard into the wall and tosses him across the room. In a storm outside, Andrew heads above the clouds where Steve finds him. Steve notices Andrew's beat-up face and tells him his father can't keep doing this to him. Still filled with rage, Andrew tells Steve to leave him alone and to stop acting like he cares. Steve tries to reason with him and reminds him that they are best friends. Andrew rejects him, and as they continue to argue, he loses control, striking Steve with lightning. Few days go by and the two remaining boys stand at Steve's funeral. Matt confronts his cousin afterwards, suspicious about what has happened. He presses him to say the truth about what really happened, and Andrew flies away. At school, Andrew sees students mock him about throwing up on the girl. When one of his bullies does it, Andrew plucks his teeth straight out of his mouth. He heads into the restroom stall where he talks to his camera about the technique he used to do it. Andrew begins to be more alone, and while at a junkyard, he talks to his camera about what an apex predator is and how they don't feel remorse when killing their prey. Andrew is in his room getting ready to go out again when Matt flies in through his window. He shouts at Andrew about what he did to the bully and how he keeps breaking the rules they made. Andrew tells Matt to get out of his life, and as Matt is about to punch Andrew, he stops him. Realizing that he is too strong, Matt leaves. Andrew heads to the pharmacy to pick up his mother's medication and is short of money and is told that his father was not able to cover the cost either. He goes back home and puts on his father's old fireman's suit, then proceeds to mug the neighborhood thugs. Andrew incapacitates them all easily and takes what he can. Still short of money, he then decides to rob a gas station. After taking the money, the owner goes after Andrew with a gun. Andrew pulls it out of the man's hands and the gun accidentally fires on a propane tank, causing an explosion that incinerates both of them. Richard enters the hospital and heads to Andrew's room where it is being guarded by police officers. He sits by his son and begins to weep. He tells Andrew that his mother died while he was out looking for him. Richard begins to demand an apology as he screams at Andrew that it is his fault his mother's dead. As Richard tries to dig his finger into him, Andrew catches his arm and violently blows everything in the room out the window. While at a birthday party, Matt's nose begins to bleed. He immediately feels that something is wrong with Andrew. They circle around the television as the news say that a bomb has gone off in the hospital. Matt and Casey drive to the hospital where they see police and ambulances flooding the streets. In the smoke, they see Andrew emerge holding his father. Suddenly Andrew releases Richard and Matt manages to catch him in the air. Andrew flies away and Matt continues to go after him. While driving, they see Andrew has gone berserk as he knocks a helicopter out of the sky and kills a police officer. Suddenly, Matt and Casey get flung up in the air and thrown at the Space Needle, but Matt is able to stop them from crashing. Andrew pulls Matt out of the car and Casey goes down with it. Again, Matt manages to get her out in time as the car crashes to the ground. Matt sets her down safely and flies back up to stop Andrew. Still in a rampage, Matt proceeds to get Andrew's attention. He tells him to stop the madness as this is not who he is. Andrew tells him that it is too late, but Matt assures him that there is still time and they can leave together. Having had enough, Andrew calls himself an apex predator and launches a bus at Matt. As Andrew recovers from that feat, Matt flies and tackles him to the ground. He knocks Andrew out and the police surround the two. As Matt pleads them not to shoot, Andrew wakes and blows them away. They continue to fight and destroy parts of the city in the process. The police surround them once again and Matt tells Andrew not to hurt them. They fire away at Andrew, but he stops all of the bullets mid-air and unleashes a shockwave, knocking them away. Filled with uncontrollable rage, Andrew explodes, making the ground shake and breaking building windows. Yelling at his cousin to please stop, Matt realizes the monster Andrew has become. He breaks the spear off of the statue behind Andrew and plunges it into his back at supersonic speed, killing him. As Matt lays there broken, the police move in on him. He suddenly wakes and flies away. Days later, Matt travels the world and talks to the camera atop a snowy mountain. He says that he is sorry about what happened and that he will be better from now on. He tells Andrew and Steve that he will not stop until he finds answers about what happened to them down in that tunnel. Matt then bids them farewell as he flies off and leaves the camera on the beautiful view.
Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this story. Please consider giving us a like and subscribing. It would really help the channel out. Have an amazing day.